There's the real thing.
I'm walking the tightrope. I'm sad and I'm lonely. Oh, but I'm taking the high road, baby.
And then there are imitations.
I'm walking the tightrope. I'm sad and I'm lonely. But I'm taking the high road, baby. Yes.
Loser. At the Beyond FM STL Showcase, we only bring you the originals, starring the 45. Modern Angst. Inner Outlines.
Don't send me a miracle. I don't deserve it if it's all my fault that I'm feeling miserable.
Saturday, April 8th at the Blueberry Hill Duck Room. It's the Beyond FM STL Showcase with the 45, Modern Angst, and Inner Outlines. This is an all-ages show and tickets are just $10. It's the Beyond FM STL Showcase. Saturday, April 8th at the Duck Room. Brought to you by Beyond FM.
Baby. Yes.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley of Rock Paper Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to another brand new episode. Today's features my buddy Dan Turnbaugh, or better known as Spirit and Sound. We had a lot of fun diving into his brand new project, Spirit and Sound, and talking about his brand new EP he's working on, and his recent move out to California. So I hope you enjoy this one. We did record over Zoom as he is at home in California, so but we had a great time catching up and hope you enjoyed it. And I do want to remind you, as always, Rock Paper Podcast is brought to you by Friendship Brewing Company in Wentzville, Missouri, serving up all your craft beer needs. With over 25 rotating taps out there, be sure to have a beverage just right for you. You can come out for some delicious food also, burgers and nachos and flatbread pizzas and pretzels and all kinds of tasty eats out there. And they're doing Fish Fry Fridays all through Lent, so come out for your fish fries. And if you need some great live music, you can come out on Thursday. They've been doing Singo Bingo Night, and that's the Thursday 9th, March 9th, is Best of Hip Hop. Friday, March 10th, James Birtles. And Saturday, March 11th, Buddy and Q. You can find their full beer menu, food menu, and concert calendar at friendshipbrewingcompany.com. And be sure to plug in with them on your Facebook and Instagram. Also, if you are in the Hannibal, Missouri or Flint Hill, Missouri area, great news. Friendship Brewing Company is coming to you, opening 2 brand new locations this year. And very exciting. So get plugged in with them on, again, Facebook, Instagram, friendshipbrewingcompany.com. Also, if you were following along, I announced a brand new show, and we're hosting our 3rd Debstock over at Old Rock House for Mother's Day, May 14th. And this is my benefit to support brain cancer patients and raise awareness for glioblastoma. I lost my mother in 2019 to brain cancer. So I've been trying to do my part to give back and support some others in need. And if you want to come out and join us, again, this is Mother's Day, May 14th, 3 to 7 p.m. at Old Rock House. And we'll have a great lineup of music, including Ryan Chaney. You may know Ryan also from his work in Fivefold. Emily Wallace, Russo and Company, and hosted by comedian Meredith Hopping. Tickets available at etix.com, or feel free to reach out and I can mail you one. 15 in advance, 20 at the door. And for more info, visit oldrockhouse.com. or rockpaperpodcast.com. And that is it for me, everybody. If you need me, you can always find me at rockpaperpodcast.com. Hit me up on the socials. Email me at rockpaperpodcast@gmail.com. And with that out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy a brand new episode with Spirit and Sound.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
Hey, this is Dan from Spirit and Sound. Thank you so much for listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Scissors beat paper, paper covers rock. Rock beats scissors, Shane covers non-stop. Never know what new kind of guest that he's got coming at you. Live and direct on the spot. Could be rock, folk, country, or hip-hop, jazz. All kind of folks that he has. Could be an artist or a comedian to make you laugh on the
Rock Paper Podcast.
double-decker fudge round, rolling round town. Shane coming at you live and direct from ground zero. He's your hero, he's your bestie. Rock Paper Podcast with Shane Presley.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey, everybody. Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast. Hanging out via Zoom with Dan Turnbaugh. Welcome back to the show, man.
Howdy, how's it going?
Good. This is cool, man. And I pulled it up to see what it was. I think it was like 2006, 2016 was your last appearance on the show.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time, man. So that's what I was excited about today, to get to catch up with you a little bit and talk about some brand new music. Especially since you've been obviously busy making new music in between then and now. But I saw you had a new project coming up, and I was like, well, let's catch up and talk about it, man.
Yeah.
So you are, I guess, since we last spoke, I guess, I don't know. I didn't realize you had moved, but you were living in the Bay Area now?
Yeah. It's a funny story. So I was living in South City for about a year, and my girlfriend at the time, she was working for a company that got hired by Google to run events. And so they're like, well, we're going to be moving a couple people out to the Bay Area onto the Google campus to help run events there. And so she was like, man, you got to come with me. It'll be so fun. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, it's, I was set, I had residencies at a couple different places. I was teaching a couple students. I also had a carpentry gig that I was doing full time. And I was like, man, let's think about this. So I thought about it, and I looked at the area that we'd be moving to, and I didn't really know of the Bay Area. I knew of San Francisco, but as far as like where everything was, I didn't really know. So I looked it up, and yeah, like San Francisco is like 30 minutes or less than 30 minutes from Oakland. And they're both about 40 minutes from San Jose. And then San Jose is about a half hour from Santa Cruz. And then from Oakland, about 45 minutes away from Oakland is Napa Valley, Sonoma Valley, and about 3 hours from this area is Yosemite, and 4 hours is Tahoe. And I was like, geez, man, like there's so many opportunities to, like, as a solo performer, especially, Napa Valley, all the wineries, and plus the three cities, Oakland, San Jose, and San Francisco. It's like, man, I could potentially, play a bunch of gigs, and not have to worry too much about like playing at the same place over and over and over again. Right. I could kind of like just change it up and get new people to hear my stuff. So I was like, let's do it. And so we moved, we got the opportunity, and then within 3 weeks we moved.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, man.
It was a whirlwind, but it was definitely worth it. I miss everyone. Obviously, I'm always like reaching out to everyone, and just figuring out what's going on. And, with social media, it makes it a lot easier as well. But yeah, man, we made the drive here, the South route, Route 66 down through Texas and everything. But once we got about to, I believe, Arizona, we cut up to the Grand Canyon and got to see the Grand Canyon for the first time. Then went up to Las Vegas and hung out a night in Las Vegas, and then cut over to the Bay Area. That was my move here. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's far away from all my family and friends. That makes it really, 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 really hard. But it's cool to like just kind of take what I've created in St. Louis and bring it over here. I've met a bunch of people here. I was living in a house in San Jose with this guy who was renting out rooms, and he had a detached garage that this artist lived in. And her name was Cynthia, and she was like, "Hey, my friend, she is a singer-songwriter, and she's looking for a guitar player to play on her album, like an electric guitar player." And I was like, "Sure, I can do that." And so I ended up meeting up with her. Her name was Esther Young, and she's a songwriter in San Jose. And yeah, I got together with her, and I ended up going to 2 really cool studios in the Bay Area through her. And then the drummer and the bass player on her record I met and ended up jamming with. And the bass player, he's also like really into modular synth stuff. So him and I have just kind of like worked with different electronic ideas, and we don't really do the Spirit and Sound or Music Embryo stuff, but we're just kind of creating new stuff and kind of venturing into the unknown, which is fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been really exciting. But working with Esther Young was really cool to kind of meet those other guys and also meet some other artists in the area. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I've never done anything like that. I've never, St. Louis has always been home for me, but I can imagine it'd be like, very scary, but also incredibly exciting at the same time. Like just the opportunities, like you're saying, like having and meeting all kinds of new people to create with. And, so yeah, all that does sound like a lot of fun, but it's, I guess the unknown part of it all that can also be a little scary, but it could be something really great too. So.
Oh yeah, oh man, like just the anxiety of getting a job here, because that was one thing. I didn't have much time to look, and so when we moved out here, I was doing carpentry in St. Louis, so I kind of like also looked in that route as well as teaching and doing gigs. But within the first couple of months that we lived here, I got a job doing some handyman work while I was looking for other stuff. And I started getting some open mics that I was doing, Red Rock Coffee in Mountain View, which is just like northwest of San Jose. I did a couple of those, and it was really fun. But then the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. And as soon as the pandemic hit, nothing happened. Right. I ended up getting another gig as far as carpentry with a group of guys in the East Bay. And I ended up getting furloughed from that job because they, when the pandemic hit, they had to let us go for a while. And I didn't play a gig. I went from doing 3 or 4 nights a week to not doing anything for 8 months. And I did 3 or 4 nights a week for like over 10 years, And so, it was a crazy time of just kind of like, because as a musician, when you're not able to kind of do that, you kind of lose your sense of identity. And so I kind of just lost it for a while, just like, getting depressed and moping around. And I ended up moving back to St. Louis during the pandemic. And I kind of gained traction there because in St. Louis, it was kind of more loose there. I actually played at the Kirkwood Farmers Market, like I want to say once a week almost. I was also playing some other gigs like at the Stanley Cigar Lounge downtown. And yeah, man, I got back into playing once I moved there, and I was recording with my brother Chris and recorded those. We tracked a bunch for those songs and for the EP. And I stayed there for a while, and I was also talking to the guys I was working with in carpentry every once in a while, giving them updates. And like, all right, well, when you can move back. Well, you have a job here.
Yeah.
So after like 6 months, I ended up moving back and started working with them. And then I found this agency out here and started doing some tech company happy hours. I got a hotel gig over near Stanford University, which they really liked me. And they were like, hey, can you play here twice a week? And so I got a residency at the Stanford Park Hotel, which was a really cool experience. And I'll be doing that again this year, which will be cool. But yeah, so I'm kind of making my way here. It's tough. And like you said, it's definitely the fear, like just the unknown of like, is this going to work? Are people going to like me? But, it's very cool to see people's perspectives of St. Louis here, because they don't really know they're like, oh yeah, jazz music, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess, but like everything's in St. Louis, man. Everything. Which, man, going back for Christmas time was amazing. I went to the History Museum for the STL Sounds exhibit there. I went to the Gramophone. I went to the Foundry STL. We also went to QT. There's no QTs out here. There's no QTs out here.
Yeah. Shout out to QT.
Shout out to QT. Get some taquitos.
Man.
And do the breakfast pizzas at QT. That's where it's at.
Yeah. Here's a little pro tip for anybody. You can order the breakfast pizza at any time. If you order on the app, you can get yourself a hot, fresh one for dinner. And it's a game changer, man.
Dude,
yeah.
It's the little personal breakfast pizza.
Yeah.
It's always just fresh and amazing.
Yep.
You better get paid for the QT, endorsement there.
I've been trying, man. Even though I'll take free taquitos or anything, I'll work for taquitos.
Yeah, and there's cinnamon roll cappuccino.
Yeah,
dude, unreal.
Yeah,
but so, man, what episode was Kamikaze for the podcast? It was like 200 and something, and now you're on you're up in the thousands.
Yeah,
that is nuts.
Yeah, it's silly. 285.
I think it was like 285.
Yeah.
Okay, man, that's how long ago it was, and that's how many podcasts you've done.
Yeah, I've been busy. I like to party.
Hell yeah!
Well, you were saying that you came here and you tracked this new EP with your brother and over at Sawhorse, and we got a brand new project from you called Spirit and Sound, and you're gearing up to release this EP in March, but New Year's Day you released a single that is now streaming everywhere and on Bandcamp and wherever else you might find music, and but this song's called Satellite.
When I look back to the time gone by, I see so clear, but I'm blind, looking forward. I need you here. A satellite tells me the time when to rise and fall. Asleep where my dreams show me my hopes and fears. A satellite tells me the time when to rise and fall. Asleep where my dreams show me my hopes and
Let's talk about this project, man, and how this song came about.
Well, Satellite, it came about in 2018. I was living in O'Fallon, Missouri for a little bit, and I came up with just the guitar part. It was fun to play. It was kind of like a 3/4. I'm trying to think of a song that it reminds me of, but as far as the feel, but it was just fun to strum. And I ended up writing some lyrics and coming up with a way to sing the verse and the chorus over the two progressions I had made up. And it kind of just sat in the background for a couple years, actually. And then in 2020, I recorded it on Ableton, and then I just kind of like added a bridge and then just made it into a song form. And yeah, I sent the demo to my brother. I actually posted the demo on Bandcamp for a while. I think it's still up there possibly. And then I ended up re-recording it once I moved back during the pandemic. I moved back to STL for a little bit and recorded the drum tracks with scratch vocals, scratch guitar. And then over the months, I did some guitar work, did some vocal work, and then I moved back here, and it sat there for a year. And my brother would, we would send mixes back and forth for a little bit, but I wanted to do some more stuff to it as far as recording goes. So we had to wait until I could come back. But round trip flights to St. Louis, range from like 300 something round trip to like 600 something round trip. So I didn't have the money out here in the Bay Area. It's expensive to live. So I didn't have the money to go out there. So it's been a couple years, but finally we finished it and we got it mastered. And yeah, it sounds great. I'm really happy with it. Chris did a really, really good job. Sawhorse Studios has always been kind of the home base for recording stuff for all my projects.
Yeah, beautiful space over there.
Yeah, Jason McIntyre is super knowledgeable and has there's a microphone that we used to record the room for a lot of these guitar tracks and vocal tracks for this EP. And he was like, yeah, that was on the Peter Frampton Comes Alive record.
Yeah.
That microphone was used for that record. He said it was probably used for like a guitar or something like that, but it was used on that record, which I was like, man, that's awesome. So I got to record with that mic, and I have that on vinyl, that record, and Yeah. Plus, there's a baby grand that Tina Turner used on her records early on in the day. There's just a lot of history there, and he has tons of amplifiers, tons of outboard gear that you just can't really get the same sound when you're working in the box with recording stuff. So go check out Sawhorse. It's very, very affordable, and there's a lot of people that have come through there that are awesome. Devin Allman recorded a bunch of stuff there. The River Kittens recorded their stuff there. A lot of people are recording stuff there. So I think Funky Butt Brass Band recorded there as well.
Oh yeah.
So Sawhorse Studios, man, check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, very cool. Well, like I said, satellite available wherever you're getting your music at. So check that out and support this project. So how do you get to Spirit and Sound? Like where, where does this, like, the idea of the new name and this direction and stuff? I mean, I know it was like you've been doing a lot of different sounds and music over the years, but how do you come around to defining what Spirit and Sound is going to be?
Originally Music Embryo was my project for a long time. It was actually a song that my band Groupthink had written, and it was just kind of a name for stuff that I did solo once Groupthink kind of started not doing stuff so much. And it just kind of stuck for a while, and I kept writing music and releasing it with that name. And Greg Davis, who was doing my graphic design and like doing my marketing, he was like, man, like your music is super cool, and I think Music Embryo is the intersection between spirit and sound. And I was like, damn, thank you, man. I loved how he said that. And once I moved to the Bay Area and, no one had ever heard of me, and I was like, yeah, check out my stuff. It's Music Embryo. It's just, for some reason, you get a different perspective when you have people that have never heard of you, which a lot of artists experience that, where they, like, for example, let's say an artist records a song and they think it's awesome, whatever, and then they go in front of people and they're like, here, listen to the song. Then they listen to it as they're showing people, and they're kind of just like, they can hear it almost in the other person's perspective, and they get this, this new perspective, right? And so that's kind of how I felt with Music Embryo. I felt like if I wanted to go further, like here in the Bay Area or just in general, I felt like I would want some other name to represent my music. And again, that story about Spirit and Sound, it just kept kind of resonating with me, because it's one of the hardest things as an artist, besides, just using your name, to come up with something that you're proud of and that is cool. Sometimes in like a punk band or something, it's a little more funny or whatever, so it's kind of easier in that way. But for me, it's kind of like a emotional art project, so it's kind of hard to come up with something serious that's not cliche or whatever. So Spirit and Sound just kind of stuck. And so, yeah, I plan on releasing this EP as like the first release of Spirit and Sound.
Right. Yeah, man. Very cool. I meant to say something earlier. You're talking about their people's view on St. Louis and stuff, like, about jazz and things. And I forgot, there was I think it was the Manis brothers were talking about, doing some touring, and they tell people they're from St. Louis, and people like immediately like think like that they're just going to be, I don't know, they get like a little street cred because like they think St. Louis is like this, like, real hard place or whatever, like that, the right, with the violence and things, and like, so they're like, oh man, these guys are from St. Louis, watch out, and like,
watch out.
So it's like, I don't know. I think it's funny that that we have that. I mean, I know there is statistics that back up a lot of that, but it's just, that's not all St. Louis is. So it's unfortunate that people think that way, but it just made me laugh. Like, they're two of the nicest guys, and people are like, oh, these guys are from St. Louis. Look out. So
I know, and yeah, no, those guys are awesome, and that's what's funny is people just go off of what they hear opposed to what's actually going on. So it's interesting to hear people's perspective of St. Louis, because some people think of it as a violent place. Some people have heard, oh, it's one of the, original places of jazz music. So then they think of it as a jazz place. But in all reality, every St. Louis person knows that, it's all about the Cardinals and the blues, and it's about blues music, and it's about, it obviously depends on the demographic, but, South City is the place, the happening place for me. South City and Soulard, Midtown, the Central West End has always been cool, and no one knows about that. So it's so fun to sit there and talk about all these cool places and tell people, if you go there, make sure you go to South City, make sure you go to, Soulard and the Central West End, because don't just go there and look at the arch, there's so much culture.
Oh yeah.
That, and plus the museums are free. It's ridiculous. St. Louis is awesome.
Do you have, other, you got to, like I said, you came home to visit for holidays and stuff. What do you have like one thing that besides friends and family that you miss the most about not being here in St. Louis?
Like I said, living in South City was just super cool because, obviously you just chill inside, whatever, but there's also tons and tons of places that you could just go and hang out. Obviously the Grove, right? But I lived near Morganford and Miami, actually, which is a little further south of the Grove. And there's some cool bars up that way. And again, the Central West End and the museums, the Science Center, the Botanical Gardens, that was all right there. And I could go do that at a moment's notice, you know. And plus, I'm like a foodie. I love food. So South City, you could get anything from Jamaican food to Thai food to Vietnamese food to, German food. I miss just having all that at my disposal, which in the Bay Area, there is a lot of culture here as well. So I'm not discounting that, but I miss having that, plus all of my friends and all the local music that I had grew up inside of that network. And, I just miss all the local music there too. And, but, I felt like it was a good opportunity to move out here and
for sure
experience something. I spent over 30 years in St. Louis, and I was like, man, let me just at least spend 1 year in the Bay Area. And it's been about 4 years now. So
you going around like doing the sightseeing and touristy type stuff around there?
Oh yeah. No, if you check out my Instagram, Spirit and Sound, with underscores in between the words, you'll see I've been to Yosemite, which Yosemite's 3 hours away from the Bay Area, like 3.5 hours away. So I went to see the Yosemite Falls. I also have been to Sonoma, which I've heard from locals that Sonoma is it's a cooler spot than Napa Valley. So Sonoma is another kind of wine country, and it's west of Napa Valley. Santa Cruz, I've been there a couple times, and then Santa Cruz, you're like right there in like Monterey Bay, basically, and you can take Highway 1 up to San Francisco, which you pass all these really cool beach towns, Pacifica Beach, Half Moon Bay, all these really cool places. And I didn't know anything about this place when I moved here besides, my favorite band ever, Metallica, is from San Francisco, which, I actually saw them at Aftershock, which was in Sacramento. So I've been to Sacramento, and I've been to Aftershock twice, which was cool. Aftershock was awesome. Rob Zombie, I got to see him.
Nice.
Meshuggah, Thrice. Too many cool shows. I told you earlier, I went to see Testament and Exodus and Death Angel in Oakland at the Fox Theater, which is not as cool as the Fabulous Fox. It is smaller, but it has kind of the same kind of vibe and lighting in there. It's pretty cool, but not at all like it. But when I was waiting in line for the show, I saw Bandcamp they were right off the street right there. I saw like the sign off the building. I was like, holy shit, Bandcamp. I've released all of my songs on Bandcamp with every project I've ever been in. So it was cool to see that.
Yeah.
Who else did I see? I saw System of a Down in Oakland.
All right. Yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah, San Francisco there's a lot going on in San Francisco. It's not too big, but there's just so many places to go. It's 45 minutes away. So it's like when I lived out in the county, going to St. Louis was like 40 minutes away.
Right.
You know, so about the same. You have to deal with tolls going across the bay, so that kind of sucks.
Did you go to the Full House house?
I actually drove by it, and I drove by the Full House house. I also went to the Golden Gate Park, which is awesome. Golden Gate Park is super, super, super pretty.
Yeah.
They have a botanical gardens there. It's a Japanese botanical gardens. It's really, really cool. The Golden Gate Bridge is awesome. I ended up working with an agent in San Francisco, and he got me some tech company gigs, and he got me a gig north of San Francisco at this place called Belvedere Island. And I was like, Belvedere Island, what is that? And I looked at it on the map, and it's like off this peninsula called Tiburon. And I found out that like Billy Crystal, Robin Williams, they all lived up there, and it's like just money, money, money up there. And I ended up playing this private party, which was strange. It was like a pre-prom party for all these families' kids, and so they were all dressed up, getting pictures taken. And I started playing, and then they got on this bus and went to prom, and I just played for all the parents at the house.
Wow, cool.
This house is sick. Like the living room, exterior walls, accordion open to the bay. And you can see the Golden Gate in the background. And then the bay actually came under their house a little bit. So like in their living room, the bay is under their house. And they had a boat dock with 3 boats. It was just stupid. But yeah, man, it's been crazy out here. And I miss St. Louis more than anything.
Yeah.
It's bittersweet because I liked the new experiences, and I know that it's good for me musically to be out here, and you know, I can play shows in St. Louis and be out here. I can also bring St. Louis bands out here to play out here and stay with me or something. Right. You know, so I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. Like my buddies in Blastar, they've been playing at the Venice Cafe recently. Have you heard of Blastar?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So they've been doing some really cool stuff, and yeah, I'd love for them to come out here and play in San Jose or Oakland. There's a couple cool like venues that I've went to, and yeah, they'd fit right in. But who knows? Like I said, it's expensive. So like the only way we can get people out here is if they were paid to come out here, or if they like were touring, you know, and we're just driving from state to state, and then they came out here for a little bit and then drove back, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah.
I got some buddies in Inimical Drive that went out there, did like a small little, you know, tour weekend thing, and then did like they got to play at the Viper Room, and so like for them being like, you know, old metalheads, like they loved you know, getting to play the
legendary.
Yeah. So and they shot like a music video, or shot some pictures in there and stuff, and for their album. And but you know, that's the thing, like getting to do these kind of things, like that they always heard about, you know, all these other iconic things bands did. And so, you know, it was but that's the thing. And maybe just make a weekend of it. Run, you know, do a run like that. Do a couple of gigs, and you know, just to help start spreading the word. And you know, maybe then they come back 6 months later and do it again. And hopefully, those people bring a couple friends and just grow something.
Well, plus this is like one of the most populated areas in the country. So that's another cool thing, is you'll never really play for the same ears twice. And plus, the scenes are just super passionate out here, and there's just tons of people. You know, it's just, I think in San Jose alone, there's like 10 million people.
Right.
So it's just like, yeah, if you were able to be out here and promote and play. There's a huge punk scene in San Jose and in Oakland. Really just in the Bay Area in general is a huge punk scene. So I really encourage people to come out here and at least, maybe network and see if you can jump on a show, and the flights aren't too bad in springtime. It's probably about $300 round trip.
Yeah.
And you can bring your guitar, whatever, as a carry-on, and then, just work it out to where you use the drums of the band that you're playing with, But yeah, there's a huge metal scene, huge punk scene, huge EDM scene. It's kind of, there is an artsy scene here as far as like people just trying to be artistic, and it's kind of a mixture and a blend of EDM and alternative rock and stuff. But yeah, we'll see how my music fits in here. We'll see. But I'm not truly worried about it. I'm more so just trying to express myself opposed to trying to do anything else. It's kind of like, yeah, it's just something I do as a passion,
Have you done any? Have you done any Spirit and Sound shows, or is it or those gigs you talked about?
I played some original songs during my gigs, like especially when I was doing the residency at the Stanford Park Hotel. I played some original songs after a while because I was doing every Sunday and every Wednesday for like 8 months. And so after a while, I was like, I'll throw one in. People have seen me before. I'm like, here's an original. I played Cliffs and Clouds a couple times. But yeah, it's tough when you produce your stuff in the studio and you have a drummer and a bass player and they're playing their own style over your song. And then, you have background vocals, you have auxiliary percussion, which I love putting auxiliary percussion into songs. It like totally changes the song. Tambourine and shaker, it'll add so much. And plus I like to throw a little beatboxing in the background, depending on what's up. But just because I can be expressive and not worry about my limbs fucking me up,
Right.
But
let's talk about Cliffs and Cloud. You said you wanted to drop that one into debut a brand new one.
Yeah, Cliffs and Clouds. So if any of these listeners have heard Satellite, my first release of the CP, the second one, it is more upbeat. It is it's a song that has some angst in it, and the lyrics, like the first verse, the lyrics are walking behind followers, learning how to live. And it's just talking about being led to a point and being raised to a point to where you sit there. Once you realize that, you sit there and you look down and you're like, man, like I've built my identity on all this stuff, which some people have better experiences than others, but it's sometimes a crazy feeling to sit there and look at what you become, and you're like, man, I've been led here, and I've been led to believe this and that, and what have I been thinking? Especially with all the political stuff going on, you figure out which side you're on, and you're like, man, like, what have I been thinking? Like with all the Black Lives Matter, with everything that's going on, you just start to realize what your true thoughts are, and you kind of understand, like, especially being a white person, you start to realize, man, like I'm reading a book right now called White Fragility, and you just start to learn about white supremacy and what it has done to this country and to this world. And being a white male, it's like you can't feel much else than shame sometimes, right? But anyway, on a lighter note, the song is kind of like talking about, like, you just got to move forward, and it's an uplifting song, but it's an uplifting song from the bottom of that realization. But I've always been a fan of rock, so I got to have some drama in with that music to kind of like bring people in and bring people up at the same time.
Yeah, man. Very cool.
Followers learning how to live, led to cliffs and clouds, reading aloud what I'm told. As the wind blows and the edge tumbles down, I think to myself, I just can't look down. Running away from the norm, running away from you. Led to cliffs and clouds, reading aloud what I'm told, regardless of how I feel. As the fire burns and the water puts it out, I think to myself, if you don't fail me now.
When should we be expecting this one? You have an expected release date on that single?
I believe it's going to be late February.
Okay.
Probably in between now and the release of the EP, which is March 20th. I kind of thought about a good time to release the music, and the first day of spring sounded like a good time to release this new blooming of I kind of like shed skin with music embryo into spirit and sound, and I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah. Well, you can, so I guess you said Instagram's the best place to get involved with spirit and sound. And then
yes.
Follow along on the socials there. And then you can find, like I said, the music on all your platforms here coming soon.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple of questions I've been asking people and get your take on some of these, Dan. And all right, this one always is fun for me. But the day comes along that we get a Dan Turnbaugh or Spirit and Sound action figure. What do you like? What would you like to see as your like 3 accessories to go with your action figure?
A Martin acoustic, and it would look, it'd be like one of those ornaments, with like the strings on it and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's been my go-to since I graduated high school. It's the Martin acoustic. The second thing would probably be a little to-go thing of Thai curry.
Oh, yeah.
And it would look real, but you wouldn't be able to open it, but it would look real. And then the third thing would be probably my cats, Dorian and Sky.
Yeah.
They come as one. So that's the third one.
Right. Yeah.
Action figure.
Yeah, man. It's just some silly
I probably
stuff.
could have gotten a little more like supernatural with what I had, but that's just the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Cats
good,
could
man.
come.
All right. What about a dream duet or collaboration? Is there we mentioned a lot of names, but is there one of those people or somebody else that you would really love to get in the studio with sometime?
Like St. Louis artist or like any artist?
It could be anything, man. It's your dream.
I would say probably Jamie Lydell would be fun.
Yeah.
Jamie Lydell. It's funny. I found him on MySpace back in the day. But Jamie Lydell, he's kind of a DJ, but he's also a singer, and he's had albums with bands on them. But yeah, check him out. Jamie Lydell would be really fun. He's a loop artist as well. Also, Elaine, I think his last name's pronounced Joannis. Elaine Joannis. He's a music producer, also an engineer. He mixed Chris Cornell's solo albums, recorded him, and produced his stuff. He also was a musician on a lot of the Queens of the Stone Age stuff and helped produce Josh's stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a cool one.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I know. Jeff Buckley would be another one, but can't do that.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah.
I listened to this podcast, the 500 with Josh Adam Myers, where he's like going through Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time, and talking to, usually has a comedian or a musician of some sort, talk about their experience with the record and kind of deep dive on each one. And they recently did Jeff Buckley's Grace album on there, and it was fun, man. It was like I knew Hallelujah cover, but that was like really about it. Like, I mean, I've known of them, but I never really did a lot of too much of a deep dive on his catalog, and that's kind of what's been fun. That's really the point of this of that podcast, is Josh, the host, didn't really know a lot of these musicians either, and as a tribute to his friend that passed, he was going to learn more about all these great bands, so besides just the hits on the radio, he's started the podcast and started learning all these things. And so anyway, it was fun to listen to, and it was a good way to learn a little bit more about Jeff Buckley, and made me appreciate him a little more. So
Definitely. Yeah. And it's interesting, his story of how he didn't know his real father. You hear about all that?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Buckley. Yeah, he was like a 60s kind of psychedelic folk artist.
Right.
Grace is awesome. Lilac Wine, which, interesting enough, he didn't write, but he performed it. And he did that a lot, where he would play some songs that he didn't write, but he would play them his own way. And yeah, the whole story of him playing at that New York cafe or bar or whatever, and people, he would play for like a couple people, and then after a couple months, like limos would pull up and celebrities would be showing up. I'm trying to remember the name of that place, but
Yeah.
either way,
Right.
I think Sene, I can't remember, but either way, yeah, Jeff Buckley's awesome. So
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right. Do you is there anything you think you could get into the Guinness Book of World Records for?
Probably the most Thai curry eaten at one time.
Right.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
good one. All right. What about I don't know. I know I was just thinking I've asked this question before, but then I was just kind of thinking of a new spin on it. But as far as like I was going to say, is there a movie or a TV show you wish you were in as a character type of thing? But then I was thinking also, music placements really become a big deal. Getting especially since we have so many more opportunities now with so many streaming services and Netflix and all these other things having original programming and things these days. So having your music placed in one of these shows is a great opportunity to be heard by a lot of different people.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like you have some more kind of good music that could be placed in a lot of these various shows. Have you ever thought about a particular show that you think that your music might fit well in? Or
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know why I thought of this first, but so have you checked out the newer Resident Evil series on Netflix?
I have not. No.
So there's only one season out, but it's actually amazing.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a second season, I believe. But I love. So there's another song from this 4-song EP that's a little more heavy and it's kind of darker, and I think it would really fit one of those episodes. But that's kind of my dream job, and all reality is just kind of being a songwriter that either other people re-record my stuff, or I just have stuff that is placed on shows and stuff, even if there's like no vocals or anything. Like I'd just love to kind of create music for things like that, and I've always written the best when I have like a reason to write, or I like with students that I teach, a lot of times I'll write music with them to show them music theory and to show them, I'll use like basic chords and whatnot. But yeah, sometimes music just kind of pours out when you have something like that to kind of give you direction.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that'd be a cool one. Resident Evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of shows out there that I'd love to do that too. But I not only do I like to produce rock stuff, but I love producing, hip hop beats and R&B, and I love producing all types of stuff. So I'd love to be a musician for, a songwriter for TV. That'd be awesome. That's a dream job.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think that would be. I don't know. I know like some of those shows were bigger about it than others. Like on MTV, like they would actually put on there like who the artist, what the song was they were playing and stuff, instead of like having to, go do the homework or whatever, trying to figure out what that song was. But
Right.
So I always thought that was cool too. Like, so if you like what you heard, you can immediately go and look it up and stuff. But either way, it's still cool to have your music featured on something like that. And, so
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Let's see. If you this is another silly one, but is there a fictional band you wish you could see live? Is there any of those from movies and TV that you wish you could actually see?
Probably Airheads.
Yeah, yeah. The Lone Rangers.
Yeah, or Crucial Time.
Yeah,
Crucial Time.
there you go. Cassandra was a babe, man.
Dude, fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, Crucial Time probably, or the Shitty Beatles. Even though I've never heard them.
right. Yeah, I saw a little just this morning. Actually, I was watching a thing with I think it was on Vanity or whatever. One of the so it was a clip on YouTube with Adam Sandler and Brendan Fraser talking about Airheads and all this back in the day. So it was it was fun to see those two today talking about 30 years ago or whatever. So
Yeah, no, that was a great movie.
Yeah, and Brendan said he still has the original tape from the movie, also that had their demo on it, and
Nice.
so, but yeah, it was fun talk, and but yeah, that's a classic comedy for sure, man, and and I think as far as it was stretched for comedy, I think there's a lot of relatability in there as some of the all right, trying to everybody was when all you wanted was your song played on the radio, and
right,
maybe went a little extreme to take hostages and stuff, but there's
guns filled with hot sauce.
Yeah, right.
Or water guns.
Yeah, but they just wanted to be heard, man.
Exactly.
That's a movie. Yeah. Well, buddy, this has been a lot of fun, man. I'm really glad we got to spend a little time today catching up. We, like I said, we have the EP due out on the first day of spring on March 20th. And 4-song EP. And is there an official title? Yeah, have you got the title figured out?
It might just be self-titled Spirit and Sound EP, probably. But yeah, we'll see. As it gets closer and gets more real, it'll probably come to me. But that's what it is right now. It's just the Spirit and Sound EP.
Do you have some other goals set for yourself for this year with this with the music, or do you just gonna see how it goes after the release?
Honestly, I have a bunch of ideas that I'm excited to continue on. These 4 songs are like 2 to 3 years old, except for 2 of them. 2 of them I wrote in California, but yeah, I'm just excited to do new music, and just kind of, that's the funnest thing, is to create from scratch, the unknown. Just kind of like pick up the guitar and play whatever comes to you,
Yeah. I'd be, I mean, like I said, you wrote 2 of these in California, but I'd be interested to hear that. I always kind of find it, excuse me, interesting how, the sound of what St. Louis influenced you, and then what if the coast makes a different impact on where your direction of music and stuff, and how what might be coming up on the next project and things.
I think it may have a little effect, but honestly, it's a sense of like pride to like bring my St. Louis vibe here, and just kind of like, because it's different, St. Louis is original, and I feel like it kind of shines more that way. So I think I'm going to kind of carry that on. And on.
Yeah, man. Well, again, get plugged in with Dan at on Instagram, Spirit _ and _ sound, right?
Yes, Spirit and Sound with underscores in between.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. And you can find me on Spotify at Spirit and Sound with the +sign. So just, please. Well, thank you very much for you having me on this podcast. I was excited to have you reach out to me, and I miss St. Louis so much. So I'll be coming back. I'm hoping to come back in the summertime. That would be awesome. I think tickets are like about $400 round trip. So I'm going to try and do that, and maybe I can get a show together for that one. That'd be cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that'd be fun. Maybe we can get a Grammy Sammy and hit QT and
Hell yeah.
call it a day, man.
Dude, that's all you need is some QT and some Grammy phone.
Yeah. But yeah, hit me up if that happens, man. I would love to catch you live, and maybe we can link up again and catch up and talk, maybe do some live acoustic stuff or something. I don't know, be fun to hang out. So
yeah. No, hopefully if I do play a show, it'll be at Foam.
Yeah. Well, Foam's gone,
that?
man. I said Foam's gone now.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The room's still there. It's what's it?
Apothecary?
It's a comic book store. I can't think of I forget how you say their name now.
Bummer, man. Let's see what happens when you're out of the loop.
Yeah, they're doing some shows there, like comedy shows and things. I don't know if they've done much for music, but maybe we can make that happen still.
Where's one of the coolest places to play in St. Louis right now, as far as relating to Foam, like that size and vibe?
Man, I don't know. I'd have to think about it for a minute.
Obviously, Venice Cafe is cool.
Oh yeah. That's like one of the most. What's that?
It's a little smaller than Foam was, obviously, but
yeah, that's like the most unique room ever, though, man. Like that's such a cool space, and Jeff does an amazing job with building that bar up, and it's really cool.
Last time I was there, I saw Typewriter Tim, and then around that same time, I saw Drew Schaefer and like Neil C. Luke and all those guys. I was like 10 minutes from there when I lived in South City. Just another reason why I love South City. But again, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's cool to kind of finally talk about all the music stuff I've been doing. And, like I said, I miss STL a lot. And I am proud to represent STL here in the Bay Area. So,
yeah, man. Well, right on, Dan. Well, thanks, man. And hopefully I'll see you this summer then.
Yes, no, definitely. We'll be talking soon. When we release this podcast, you'll hear the second single from the EP, Cliffs and Clouds. And I hope you liked it.
Yeah, man. Right on. Well, thanks, buddy. I'll see you soon.
Yep. All right. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.